What's going on, everybody? This is Biddaman, and today I'm going to be reviewing Hotline Miami 2, Wrong Number, for the PlayStation 4. Now, Hotline Miami 2 takes place right after the events of the first game, and you play several different characters throughout the game. You'll play a group of kids that try to mimic the character from the first one. Everybody calls him Jacket, and you'll play a reporter who's not really that keen on killing people. And then you'll play a detective, and there's also some points where you pretty much go way back in time and you play some soldiers. And I wasn't really too impressed with the story. I didn't care. Like in the first game, the story was there, but you didn't have to follow it. I mean, it feels like they really pushed the story a lot more than they did on the last game. And about half of the way through, I got confused, and then I just stopped paying attention to the story. I really just, because it would jump all over the place. You know, you'd be here, then you'd be here, and you'd be here, and before you could try to figure out what was going on here, it was already, going back to the character that you just got finished jumping from 2 levels ago, and I wasn't digging it that much. Now, in the visual department, everything's about the same as the first game. You still got the sprites, and the levels are still, it's just the level layout, and in the background it's the pulsing colors and everything. Everything on that front is the same. But I was running into a bunch, and I mean a bunch of bugs where the enemies would get stuck on doors and corners, and they would be invincible, and they would just start spazzing out really bad, like back and forth. And they were invincible, you couldn't hit them, but as soon as they came out of it, they would hit you and you would be down. And it was really starting to get on my nerves. I was constantly running into that problem. And now I think they patched it. I played it a little bit after the patch, and I haven't run into it as much. I still have seen it, but I haven't seen it nearly as much as when the game first came out. And that really, really ruined a lot of the experience of the game and really killed my enjoyment of it. Another problem I was running into was I was constantly, like, the levels are a lot bigger, and they're a lot more, they rely more on guns. You don't see that many melee weapons this time around as you did in the first one. And the levels are a lot more open, bigger areas. And I was always getting shot by somebody off screen, and it was killing it for me because you can't see them, but they can still, take you out, 1 or 2 shots and you're down. And I was constantly getting shot from somebody off the screen. Or there was one level, I see what they were trying to do. It was like a nightclub, and there was, pulsing lights, and the level was, it was very dark. It was very hard to see where my enemies were. And it was constantly like you turn a corner and, oh, there's an enemy. And you didn't see him. But man, they have 20/20 vision even in the dimly lit area. So that was really killing it for me also. Now, if we're going to talk about a Hotline Miami game, you can't go without mentioning the soundtrack. Now, the soundtrack was good. I really enjoyed the soundtrack, but it wasn't as good as the first one. I enjoyed the first game soundtrack a lot better. And that's starting to show kind of an ongoing trend. It's like it's good, but it still falls just short of the first game. And unfortunately the soundtrack does too. I'm not saying that's bad. The soundtrack, no, is not bad at all. It's a very good one, but it's just, I didn't enjoy it as much as the first game. Now, as far as like sound effects, everything's still, you hit somebody with a baseball bat, it still sounds like, gross and wet. And, the gunshots sound pretty good, getting hitting people, all the sound effects, they all sound really good. And the sound design was really good on this game. I can't fault it for that. All in all, Hotline Miami 2 is not a bad game. It just wasn't as good as the first one. And the visuals were good, the sound design was good. It was just a couple glitches, and the fact that the enemies could kill you from off screen when you couldn't even see them, that really just those two things alone really killed it for me. Now they said they were supposed to, or they're going to be adding in a level editor. Now how much that extends the life of the game, I don't know. Stealth Inc. had a level editor too, but you couldn't share them with other Stealth Inc. players. You know, you would just build your own level and play it by yourself. There was no way of sharing it. Now if Hotline Miami 2 does the same thing where you can build your own level and not be able to share it, there's no point in even putting it in there. I mean, at least in my opinion, there'd be no point for me to build a level just for me to play it. Now, if you were able to share it with the rest of the world, now that would be really cool. I'd probably jump back in and play other people's levels and, you know, make my own and share them out. But we'll have to see when that comes out. Like I said, all in all, it's not a bad game. I'm going to give it a 7.5. It's not terrible, but it didn't live up to what I was expecting after I got finished playing the first game. Like I said, 7.5. It's not bad. It's not as good as the first one. If you're a diehard Hotline Miami fan, I would say go ahead and get it. I mean, you're not going to be disappointed. You know what to expect. But if you're just jumping into the Hotline Miami franchise and you haven't played the first one, I would suggest to get the first one instead. Yeah, I think it's got a better soundtrack and everything. But this one's not that bad. This is Biddaman. Have a good one.